Dun, dun, dun. We are loud here. Not loud, but like large. Like we're like in large. We're blown up. Testing.
All right.
I guess. Yeah. It's like.
Good morning, recovery.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Living large in the city.
Testing, 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 testing. What are you testing?
I'm just making sure the music was everything
We're
going.
sure.
Perfect.
We are good.
I didn't want it to like. Remember the one time we did it?
Yes.
And you couldn't hear the music.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And we
We
were
were
just bouncing around.
And nothing's going on.
That
So
was
yeah.
so funny.
Brady's the last time she said, I don't want to dance because I don't know if the music's playing.
Exactly.
I'm over here doing it anyway.
I rewatched it, rewatched it, and rewatched it.
Good morning,
We are-
everyone.
Good morning. How is everyone?
We're coffeeed up this morning, aren't we?
I would imagine. I've had like 3 cups. at least.
Wow.
I'm like two
It's
and a half.
Friday.
It
This is a
is.
natural like caffeine.
Yes, it's so exciting to be at Friday, isn't it?
It's a
Absolutely.
great day to have a great day, and the weather's changing, so I think that plays a big toll on the attitude.
And we have a beautiful backdrop.
Yes, and
Yeah.
beautiful
The
friends.
new set.
Yeah, we're in the city.
Live from New York.
It looks so good too. Like
Look
Oh,
at
wow.
it. Isn't it
Cool.
beautiful?
I love it.
Yes,
It took some
guys.
work this morning.
Yes, yes. Beautiful
We
backdrop.
got a good workout in though, and then we were like, you know what? Let's use the new set.
Yes.
So I put a little work into it, but yeah,
It looks
I like
good.
it.
It
Yeah,
looks
too.
very good.
Andrea
Very
picked
good.
it out. It's great.
Yeah, we would like to be able to do like a valley backdrop eventually. I just don't know really who to reach out to. I know Taylor had enlightened me with someone, so we'll reach out to a couple people and see. A valley one would be pretty cool. Yeah.
It was.
So
I
And
was
if-
saying like go up on Tanner's Ridge and take a picture.
Yes,
Oh, my
exactly.
goodness.
Pinnacles
Yes.
up on the park.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good morning, everyone. We have Taylor here with us this morning, and Francesca, of course, me and Alex.
Welcome, welcome.
We are moving right along this week. Some, of course, tragic headlines this week in our national news. I try not to get into the national news as much, but some things hit our national headlines, and it hits us all in a tragic way, and it's kind of hard not to pay attention to it. So our prayers and sympathy goes out to all the ones that have lost their lives this week
Absolutely.
in such a tragic way. It could have happened to any of our families and friends, and it makes you really stop and think and pause at life in general, and how many of us get on planes, and many of us just go out on trips and stuff on a daily, and such a happy event just turned into such a tragedy. So yeah.
But that needs to remind us just not to take each day for granted. Truly, that's what I'm taking from this, because we've got to tell the ones we love them. We've got to show patience and kindness where we can, because we just don't know what's going to happen to somebody one day to the next.
Absolutely.
Exactly
Absolutely. It pays.
Yeah.
It definitely pays off to not just to not have the enemies and to go to sleep and having those bitter feelings and stuff. It's better off just to kind of reach out to the ones who you might have those feelings to, and just kind of brush it off, even if you're in the right and they're in the wrong.
Never forget to tell somebody you love them either. That's a big one. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like, you never know.
And
Yeah.
how peaceful it is to sleep knowing that you've done all you could that day,
Yeah.
head high. I'm just kind of floating
Yeah.
around.
You're going to bed with no burdens.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And being able to, and I think we have to be aware that, so there's many different types of trauma, but collective trauma is a thing. When we have events like this, that we all, because it's human nature, we have mirror neurons. We want to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, right?
Yes.
And try to envision what they're going through. So when we see things like this, whether we're thinking of the perspective of being on the plane or of the family members and getting this news or the first responders, we all kind of go through that trauma together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it brings us together as a nation.
Well, and she's right. Some people are more empathetic than others, just by nature, and so they actually take on the feelings of others' feelings,
To a detriment sometimes.
Kind of like we were talking this morning, such an attack on a group at
Yes.
one setting. What a way for the evil to kind of present itself in
Right.
this manner.
Right.
It's very true. it's a sad situation. So
It's like being a therapist. Like I couldn't imagine having like I said, it's such a noble thing to do. You know what I mean? But like all those people's burdens. I mean, like
Yeah.
you got that's got.
and going home and laying down with
Yeah.
that going in through your head, it has to be a tough
Like,
situation.
how do you separate? You know, how do you leave it at the office? You know what I mean?
Taylor
Right.
can take on that one probably because it's got to be about healthy boundaries.
Yes,
Right.
it's boundaries, and truly, if I didn't have my faith and my spirituality,
Leaving it at the altar is where it
Yes.
comes into play,
And
and that's where
yes.
that's where I can relate with that situation too. Because if you don't have that, you really truly
You're drowning.
have it. Yes,
Right.
you are drowning, and sometimes you can feel it.
oh,
I
absolutely,
feel it. Like this
Oh,
past week, I had a drowning week.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Oh, I know. It was
That's true.
my weeks when I drown, I'd like drown. Oh God, yeah. Save me.
Because your resilience factor is so high, you've been through so much that it's like, all right, if you want to struggle, like I'm gonna give you, here's everything on top of it.
Yes,
So-
and poor Celebrate Recovery on Monday night because I'm just like, y'all, I need
Oh,
help.
yeah.
Community help, please.
Yes.
You know. But yeah, you guys always a lot of the ones that most people around me when I reach out for help are just like, hey, here I am. You know, Chess Monday night was like, look, let's do this. You need a break. Come to my apartment for 3 days. Stay here. I'm gonna come to you for 3 days. I'll stay there. Let's swap. Get a break.
That's so
Awesome.
great.
And that was so
Yeah.
amazing. Just to
Yes,
hear
my
that.
pleasure.
Just to hear that just took a load off of me.
But
I can-
actually doing it is going to actually relieve it. And so I'm making arrangements now with my work so that I can do this and give her what she truly needs.
That's awesome.
Yes, and
That's so
it is
great.
amazing. However, I came home and on Tuesday, you know, Alex, we all worked together with A-Fresh. I came home and I took a mental break. I ended up turning my phone off, which is something I don't do it at all. And I ended up turning it off. And this is how rare I do it. When I turned it on, my phone went crazy for about a half an hour of like updates. It was like, no.
That's
I
by
was
design. Your phone, some phones don't turn off anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right,
Like that's
right.
I was like,
crazy.
oh no, I need a new phone
Yeah.
finally. It's crashed.
But
But I
Had
mean,
enough.
but I turned it off. I went upstairs. I prayed. You know, I had that time of just being still,
Yes.
which is something as what we go through with people who come to us, and even people in recovery. You have people come and throw their stuff to you.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
be still.
Yep.
Right.
And just like you were saying, how hard it must be on a therapist or something. Well, how hard on those that just give of themselves. It's
Right.
the same
Yes.
ball field because
Yes.
that weight of everybody else, if you don't have God, where are you going to lay that weight somewhere else?
Yes. And I know for me personally, I've picked up, you know, I'm serving to others. I want to live like Jesus. I want to be like Jesus. So when someone calls me and says, hey, Andrea, I would like for you to pick me up for service here, or I want to go to church here, it's no question for me anymore. I am to go and get in my vehicle and pick them up. And that's a lot.
Yes, it is. Well, and also remember, every time Jesus did a miracle or healings or anything like that, he went into solitude. He would go to the
Yes.
mountain by himself and he would pray. And the way that the New Testament, starts with Jesus is he was in the wilderness, for 40 days and 40 nights because he needed that time alone with God to gear up and replenish and prepare for what
So
he was
we
about
have
to do.
to make that time for
We
ourselves.
have
And
to.
as community, we need to come together on it.
Yes.
And what a good read because it teaches us to be prepared. The devil is gonna come at you in those times, so at least we know it's coming.
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And I realized this. I mean, so
Right.
many people, especially when you are stepping into this new self, right? We are so scared of alone time because we equate alone time with loneliness.
They're different.
They're different. They
Yes.
are. And I think people think, well, if I'm alone, then I'm going to have to go through all these thoughts and all these emotions and things like that. But no, like you need to do that because that's when they build up and then they explode.
Yeah, and I totally get that because for the longest time when I got alone, I would get depressed, I would get sad, Now it's a different type. I actually make myself, even when I don't feel like it, get on my knees and get into the Bible. And the Recovery Bible is my number one right now. I actually understand it so much. And so you guys that are just getting into it, go to the Recovery Bible. It's really good. I took a couple of the people this morning up to my room and was showing them like what we got out of what I got out of the Recovery Bible the other night, and it's really good stuff.
It really is, and I use it as a comparison. Like I'll sit that out with my Bible of my choice with this one because together it will bring you such greater understanding of the topic.
Yeah.
I would do that when I was locked up. I had like three different versions. I have like the King James, New King James, and then the Recovery Bible. And it's like reading all three versions. Like it helped me.
Connects.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I got a lot more out of it that way. Like I said, if I didn't quite understand something in the New King James, I'd go over, check out the Recovery Bible, which is what the NLT.
Yeah.
something.
Something.
One of those. But yeah, like I said, having all three there in the comparison, like I said, I got a lot more out of it than I would if I had just been reading like just King
Right,
James.
the King James,
Right.
and it can be so frustrating because at first you might not get it, but every day if you just do it, it will eventually come to you if you pray and ask for guidance. And the other frustrating thing can be you might not feel it every day. Like some days I get up and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
but you push through that. So this morning we had a early morning talk, and I was kind of going over some things that was going on in my past, and I had that feeling of like that gut wrenching, like, man, like just reliving everything all over again, just kind of going over it. And I was like, man, I don't even feel like I didn't even. I had to go up and put the makeup on a little extra this morning to like get ready to come down for this, because I was like, man, I just don't even like. What did I go through, Taylor? I know it's the spiritual warfare that we were feeling,
Right.
but there's something more than that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's both and. I mean, the spirit, everyone thinks the spiritual and the science are these two completely different things. But really, what I believe is the science proves the
It
spiritual.
is.
It does. And so there is something called re-traumatization. And it is real. And it is actually going through, when you have the impacts of trauma, you can relive that all over again, because your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and it's happening again.
Mm-hmm.
So in your brain, there's that little small piece called your amygdala, and that's your fight or flight. I'm in survival mode, right? And so when you have those memories, or you see old pictures, or you go to old places that remind you of that place in your life, or even when you tell your story, especially when you tell your story, all the impacts happen all over again. Your body goes into, I have to survive, I have to get through this again. So you start to get defensive, you start to get depressed again, you start to get sad, you start to get angry, resentful. All those things that happened in the beginning come right back.
Yes.
And you have to be prepared for that,
Yes. So as we're going through this journey of podcast and like reopening up wounds with all of us, we're reminding people as they come on, and ourselves on a daily, that this is what's going on with us. Of course, the spiritual side is happening. I mean, we're feeling it amongst the whole community in recovery, and not only recovery, but just in general. It's been a
Yes. Yeah. Right. And I think it's important. I mean, step to faith first. That is where when you give it to, and that's something I in my prayers this morning. Because I feel, since I was here last week and told my story, I have been attacked left and right. I told Pastor King the day when I left here, I had gone and did some things at the rec center. I was working with the kids, and I went in the office and I started crying. He's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, I don't know, but I feel like I was just like machine gun fire with things to process. Like it was just so much at once. And having that, so give it to God. In my prayers this morning, that's what God told me. He was like, as soon as you feel that something's happening, turn to God and say, I'm giving it to you.
Yes.
I'm giving it to you. But then the scientific, trauma lives in your body and it grows in your body. So when it's opening up, and it's even places in your body, sometimes it's your stomach. It could even be like your hip, if you're having back problems, it could be something opening up there. And so I always tell people, like, movement, dancing, jumping up and down, even shaking. Like sometimes I'll just like wipe it off just to get it out of your body.
Yeah.
So that it's like not just sitting there and then festering. You want to shake it out, literally.
Right. Absolutely.
Wow.
I think everybody needs to move more, just in general.
Sure.
Yes. Some
That's
amazing stuff.
So with the trauma, it's that what you went through was so intense. So you felt it so hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the bringing it up, trying to process it brings back those exact, like in the amygdala.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go real deep into the science here for a second. Well, first of all, there's multiple types of trauma. right? We start experiencing trauma before we're even born.
Mm-hmm.
First, there's intergenerational, right? So that's, grandparents, parents, it all gets passed down to us. And that can go back 12 generations. So that's, hundreds of years ago, our ancestors, what they were experiencing in survival can then impact us. It affects our DNA. There's developmental trauma, there's attachment trauma, like the relationships and the bonds that you form as a baby when your needs are met or not met can create then how you show up for relationships later in life. There's event trauma, so that's when you go through something, and then and there's more, but and then the collective, like I talked about. So something like the headlines, or even something like COVID, right? That was something we all experienced. But the way that your brain develops is all around the joy that you feel in your relationships. So it's almost like 4 different steps, the way that your brain develops. And it starts from, are my needs being met? Am I safe? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't feel safety, even as a little baby, then the next part of your brain, which is that amygdala, and that's, survival. Like,
Right.
can I take care of my needs? Are my needs being met? If that's not developed, then the emotional regulation, like how you feel anger, how you feel sadness, like you should show up the same when you're feeling joy and when you're feeling anger, to be that regulated.
Right.
But if you don't have those needs met as a child, then those things don't develop that. And your identity, your purpose, that's the last piece. That's that 4th step, is who am I in this world? Where do I belong?
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's complex, and
it is amazing.
I learned this fairly recently in this recovery coach training that I'm doing. Your brain, when they do these scans on your brain, trauma impacts your brain just the same way that substances do.
Wow.
So you know how we would always hear, I think I might have said this the last time, but they say when you use substances, you get holes in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get holes, but it's deactivation of certain areas in your brain.
Sure.
And then trauma does the exact same thing.
Yes, it's affecting. Yes, it is. It is.
Yes.
Now, we are coming up at 9:00, and this is what we do in Recovery Court here in Page County. We have certain times of the day that our members have to go and turn off life in general to do classes. So Alex is going to pull off to go do a class real quick.
I have 15 minutes.
Oh, I thought you said it was at 9.
It is.
Okay, it is 9. All right, so you're going to go ahead and go do that with Jason. He just came down for you. All right, and we're going to continue our conversation here.
Okay.
So
I don't want to go.
I know, but you have to do our. This is our obligation. So, ladies and gentlemen, Alex.
All right.
So, woo!
Yeah. Alex is a great member of Recovery Court. He's doing everything he can to and doing everything right, And we are so grateful for our community and with A Fresh Cleaning and our clients that understand, what we are doing here. A podcast this morning, for example, everybody with our clients like pausing to allow us all to be here to do what we're doing this morning, pausing to allow our guys to go and do their class for an hour of the day. And our gals, they all pause in life to get on their phones to do their class. Then they unpause and we all get to work. It takes a community effort for all of us to be able to work together in the community to get past what we're doing. And Alex has just started off his own business, and he's going into a temp service. And this is something that is much needed here in the community, because as people get released out of jail and prison, or just coming into recovery in general, you have a fear of society. You get scared.
It's because we're so misunderstood as people in this element. And so I feel very grateful that the community seems to be doing this kind of shift. So the more that you do this, the more that we speak out loud, the more understanding there can be, and then compassion, and then a willingness to work together.
Yes. And with Alex, what he's going to do is reach out to different people who own businesses and get them lined up. Just say a factory, for example, might need 10 spots filled. All right. Well, we'll have people in recovery who are who can reach out to Alex, and we'll have 10 employees ready to go who we are going to make sure are going to stay sober to get into these positions. And we're going to stay on top of them, and we're going to make sure that they are, and then the factory or whoever, just say McDonald's or wherever they go to work, we'll make sure that they're going to stay on a sober plan, have a future plan in place, and then eventually they can then get hired full-time on with that business. But we're going to be working one-on-one with them through that process.
And for people out there that don't know what that employee might look like, I can tell you what I'm seeing is these are some of the hardest working, highest spirited, deeply spiritual individuals you could have in your business location.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
in fact, the people I'm meeting, my people, okay, in recovery, are some of the strongest people I've ever met. Because if you've never dealt with addiction or had it in the family, then you don't realize that what this individual has actually done has had a problem, trauma, whatever, and they found a solution.
Yes.
Through substance.
Right.
Now,
Yes.
maybe that solution wasn't ideal solution, but they had the courage to go out there and find a solution
Yes.
to numb their problem
Yes.
so that they could go out there and face life. So when they come out of that addiction and they're in recovery, these are some of the strongest warrior type people
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
No
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting too, because you hear so often that the perspective of it's a win-win is what I'm saying,
Mhm.
because the businesses think, okay, we can't keep employees because people are using, we can't depend on them to show up to work. They're showing up to work high, all those things. And so not only are you saying, let's take this burden off of you all as a business, so you don't have to deal with that. We will
Right.
take that part and make sure that they are maintaining their sobriety. And I would think, I just thought of this, but if there's a way in building that relationship with the businesses that we're also educating these, bosses and supervisors
Yes.
around addiction.
Yes, absolutely. We can work together more in the community and clean up even more.
Yes.
So what my thoughts are, is not only are we bringing in sober people into the businesses, we're working with the businesses who may have people in active addiction in there and giving them the opportunity to get their life back.
Yes, before it's too late.
We're shining
Yes.
that light with clean people coming
Yes.
in. And that light is shining to the ones who are actively using and saying, okay, look, they are in here and they're doing it. I want that.
Yes.
And they don't have to live in denial anymore. And we don't have to hide it anymore.
Yes.
So then they can come to us and say, you know what, I want it. I want the help. But I can't leave for 30 or 60 days. I have family and bills.
Right.
All right, as a community, let's work together to help you and your family.
Yes.
Yes.
And let's do fundraising for your bills.
Yes.
Let's work together and do something that has never happened in this county before. Let's pay your house payment, your car
Yes.
payment and stuff. Let's get you situated.
And then you create a culture of understanding. As you were saying,
Absolutely.
it's already starting to happen with Recovery Court and with Fresh and all these businesses that are saying, okay, do what you need to do. So then we create a culture. If someone is struggling, then they can go to their boss. They can say, hey, I'm having a hard day. And that boss then is educated and aware to say, all right, let us support you, rather than, well, this thing needs to be done and we need these hours, or this, we're not going to meet quota this week, or whatever it may be.
Or how beautiful would it be for the employee to be able to go to the boss and say, listen, I know there's this group out there that will temporarily fill my spot. I need to go somewhere for some time and just get it together.
Yes.
And how even more beautiful would it be if it's the boss?
Exactly.
If it's the boss who's struggling with
Yes.
addiction, who can actually look at the team of the recovery and say, I don't want to be ashamed anymore.
Get inspired.
Let's help me. Too.
And
And
how
they don't have to
beautiful-
lose their job. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. It's still there for them.
Yes.
It's a hand up, not a hand out. And I love that, because that was given to me fresh out of incarceration. It was considered a hand up, not a handout. And that was really what I needed. But also for us to be local, for the community, by the community. And if it's Christ-centered, what power and what changes God can work. Because you're right. It might not only be the boss. It might be the boss's marriage that's under attack.
Right.
That somebody from this, we never know how we're being worked. I saw that last night. In fact, I met with the team from Impact Church.
Mhm.
And they're getting ready to celebrate their 10 years when there weren't as many resources back then. But in that length of time that I was with them yesterday evening, from like 5 or 6 until midnight, I was able to see God working 3 different areas. I'm going to keep it quiet between me and God, because I know he's working on it and I don't want to get in the way, but he's working through us, with us, and for us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just keep up the
Yes.
good work.
And you reminded me of something great too, Chess, when you said, if their marriage is under attack, because addiction is a symptom. right?
Mhm.
And I always think of it as like an iceberg. You know, we see what's on top, but there's this whole big iceberg on the bottom that you don't see. And so I always experienced this with my mom. Like I used to love going to AA meetings with her. I used to love going to meetings
Right.
because just like the steps and the work, the personal work and internal work that you have to do to maintain recovery. I'm like, if the whole world did this,
Yes.
And-
Wouldn't it be beautiful?
oh my goodness, we would have such a healthier, like our mental
Yes.
health would be so much
And it's
better.
so funny that you say that because, like, to me, it's not even about people in recovery. It might be people who is like suffering with like other illnesses or sickness in the mind.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And for us to be able to just help anyone out there, and it could be your pastor who is suffering with something, or just anyone in general, to have that person to turn to for help and guidance, because you're never too good to be
No,
to ask for
does
help.
not discriminate.
Well,
You know what
and
I'm
that's the
saying?
point.
Yeah.
We all have what hurts, hiccups. I mean,
Yes.
we all have habits.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be substance.
Right.
So we're all in an area of need.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to do, is just be that community, and we're working towards that, and it's a beautiful thing, to be that community of just no judgment, and to be able to help each other and guide each other into a better life, because that who doesn't want that, for real?
Right.
For real.
Right.
All right, guys, so what a beautiful topic.
Yeah, and what a beautiful place we live.
Yes.
You know, there's something
Right.
very special about the Shenandoah Valley and the people who live here, and
There
that's why so many
is.
people want to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the protection of these mountains all the way around. You know.
Yes.
And I've been, struggling in my work, especially going into the jail and things like that, because so often people say, I need to leave Page County. I need to get out of Page County. And for a long time, I understood and supported that, because I know that those people, places, and things, all those triggers, they are here. And sometimes you need to get away. Then at the same time, I'm at the point where I'm struggling with that, because look, but there's so much happening around recovery in Page County.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so much, you're going to see someone that maybe you had a past with that is doing so well that then can step into that role of a community for you. And the resources are just, as I know Andrea will go over soon, they're growing
Yes.
and growing and growing. So,
Yes.
And for you to say there's so much triggers here, that's perfect, because we were just talking about that this morning. One of the things I'm noticing that we don't really talk about, or that I haven't been aware of, is going to certain places. And I'll be in a moment, or I'll be in a place, and I'll look at something and be like, oh gosh, the last time I was here, this is how I was acting.
right.
And then those bad feelings come up. But even though all those triggers are around me in this beautiful valley, because I grew up here and I spent so much time dabbling, that I have so many memories associated to those things, that what I find myself doing, which has been really therapeutic, is pushing through those bad feelings,
Mhm.
because my feelings are going to change in a matter of a few moments once I've
Yes.
changed the way I'm thinking. And so, for example, I went to Lake Arrowhead, and there was a certain spot I parked. And the last time that I was there was an event that took place, and substance was being used. And I'm like, gosh, that was an awful day. And I just remembered it.
Mhm.
And then quickly I said, but today's a great day to
Mhm.
have a great day. And I made a new memory to replace that old one. And it felt so liberating, because I was like, yes,
Yes.
that is not who I am.
Right. It's reclaiming. It's
Yes.
reclaiming that spot, reclaiming those memories. And emotions are just energy in motion. So when you have that moment, and like you said this morning, looking at your past and being reminded of those things,
Yes.
to sit and have that moment and like, look how far I've come.
Yes.
And look what I'm creating with that experience I went through, as heavy and as dark as it was. Look what I'm creating. Look
Right.
at the product of that.
We actually was going through old videos on my phone of, like, when I was in active addiction, and I go back and forth in my mind of, like, should I delete these? Should I keep these? Some people are like, you should delete them, and then others are like, no, you should keep them. And right now I keep them, because I look at that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is where I was at. February 20th. I'm going to DC to tell my story. It's through PACA. They're taking me out there to do my story. And it's just such a great opportunity, but they're using some of that footage that I have kept over the years of me in active addiction. And I feel like a lot of that stuff is still on my phone, because of that's where I was at before. And to look at that stuff then to now, it's just unbelievable, you know, and it all did back up to my phone, which is kind of odd, you know, from my
Right.
old email, like from, you know, so long ago. I'm like, how did that even, you know, but it did it does when I watch that stuff remind me of like, it does do something to you.
Yeah.
You relive
You
it,
do.
and you're like, oh my
You
gosh,
do.
you know, like
Yeah.
the feelings of what you went through, you know, and all that. But that's addiction. That's where it's at, you know.
Well, in our memories, right? Like they
Mhm.
store these things, and when you close your eyes, you're right. The body doesn't know the difference between what has happened
Right.
and what is actually not happening, because in the mind you still feel all the emotions tied to it.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll even go to even talk, and this is just even 4 years later, my jaws will lock up,
Wow.
and that's
It's
crazy.
like, yeah, and that's a trauma response.
That's a trauma.
Yes,
You know,
it is.
my jaws will lock up still,
Right.
and so you gotta really just
Is that what
recognize.
that is?
I mean, think about that's what your
Yeah.
body.
I mean,
has to
do you do that?
Once in a while, and I'm
Every
just
now
like,
and then,
why?
like right now, my jaws is locked up
Huh?
just from that video. I think
Wow.
so. You have to really pay attention to those, to your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I learned that through school, like just
Knowledge.
schooling. Yeah.
Knowledge is powerful.
Yes.
And we can learn more about ourselves. You know, it's
Yes.
like, why didn't somebody just write
That's
this
why
all
I'm
down?
so
I know,
glad
right? Like a
even if you're
101.
not ready, I recommend going to school
Yes.
because you learn so much
Yes.
about your choices and why you did what you did, and you learn so much about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you have to. If you want to use that knowledge to give to others and support
Yes.
others, you have to apply.
It's
it to
almost like your
yourself.
obligation, because if people are, I know people seek you out.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you do.
Right.
So you have to be knowledgeable so
You
that you
have
can
to.
pass forward successful,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see
Yeah.
that, you know. All right, guys, good conversation this morning. It's so great to be raw and real and be able to be just honest about it, because that's what it's all about, honesty, and just be real about it. I mean, that's how we learn and get somewhere.
Right.
You got to be real about anything.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what's coming up. I got some messages yesterday from some awesome people. We have Amanda Trailer. I think I'm saying her name last name right. Yeah. So, girlfriend, you are celebrating 4 years of recovery today, girl.
Excellent.
You got to get over there and hit
I don't
that
know which one it
button.
is.
It's the celebrate.
Yay.
Wait a minute, pause. We're getting over there to that button. I think it's the top left, right?
We hope so.
Hit it. You can't mess up.
Let's
Just
see.
hit it. There we go. Girl. That's awesome. And then not only her, but John Winslow. John Winslow is like 100 years today. John
I'm
Winslow.
so stay over here.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I
that
like
is
that
so
guy.
awesome.
Okay.
And yeah, that's just awesome. So I think he is really, I want to say 48 years, I think.
Wow.
So yeah,
What
that's
an
amazing.
achievement.
John's like him and 23 West Main, they're like, I think some of the originals
Mhm.
here in Page County.
Yeah. I mean, they're solid.
They
They're
are
very
solid. I tell everyone when I mention our what's going on with resources in Page County, like when I went through intern, I was so lucky to be able to go to 23 West Main, and these guys are like the original like guys. Like go to 23 West Main noon meeting and meet these people. They are so super cool.
I think it's important for people to know. So our recovery walk, our annual recovery walk that we do in September, which we kind of
Yes.
start getting on planning already.
Yes, we do.
John was the one who really initiated that in this area and kind of started that and approached us with PACA and said we should do
Sober
this.
Fest.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
Yep.
and it's growing and growing. I'm excited to see how
Yeah.
it comes out this year.
And
Yeah.
hey, a little plug too. We're going to start coordinating doing the March for Jesus again.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
in all 3 towns. So I'll be talking about that at
That's
some
awesome.
point.
Yeah, I
Get
didn't do
volunteers
that. I
and
didn't-
sign up.
Yes.
We will.
Yes.
Yes, we'll keep
Yes,
growing it.
We'll do that. Yeah, John's awesome. He's amazing.
And welcoming, guys. So if you're not doing it or you're just considering, go, because they'll welcome you. They'll have a nice cup of coffee with you. They'll have laughs with you, and it's a safe place to be.
Yes.
Thank you
It's
for
great.
taking me there, by the way.
Yes. And then not only that, we have let's see, tonight at 23 West Main. It's at 7:00. It's potluck. So we're celebrating these recovery celebrations. And tonight at 7:00 is potluck. So bring out whatever you want. from 7 to 8, and then 8 o'clock is the actual meeting at 23 West Main. So you guys come out for that. And then Celebrate Recovery is every Monday night at 6 o'clock, and that's at Main Street Baptist. And it's a little bit of food at 6, and then 6:30 is when they start the.
I'll be giving my testimony.
And that's at this Monday?
Yeah.
All right, so come out this coming Monday night for Chess's testimony. Free Indeed every Tuesday night at 6:30, and that's on Newport Road. And then again, 23 West Main, that's the AA meeting at noon. Rec Center, Pastor Audrey, and everything that you guys have got going on down there. Tell me about the housing.
Where do I start? Yeah, I mean, it's going very, very well. I mean, it's just so great because we're supporting the youth, and that's a powerful, necessary, needed thing. But I think by expanding into these houses, and we're supporting the family with my program that I'm doing with, I have 8 youth specifically that I work with, but that I'm also working with their parents. So it really is, because to support the kids, you have to support the family. And it's those generational, those cycles.
Right.
And we have Miss Heather Homer, who is a rock star and
She
who is
so
amazing.
awesome.
I mean, she has such a heart. She's always looking for ways to grow and to expand. We're looking at some type of small scale mentoring program that we're going to start doing again.
Right.
So yeah, I could go on for days, so you got to stop me.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. All right. So if you want to donate to that cause, go to Cash App, Living Legacy Luray. So it's one word, like Living Legacy Luray at Cash App. All right. Thursday, New Life Recovery, and that's at Grace Covenant, Harrisonburg, 6:30, and that's at Eat and Group. First Step Freedom. So that's this coming Sunday at 3:30 Shen Elk Plaza, Elkton, February the 2nd. Again, that's this coming Sunday. We are meeting at 4 o'clock at Social Services parking lot. That's right across from the Female House in Stanley. And we are going to be riding buses or vans, whatever the case is.
Combo.
Yeah. And we're going to be meeting up in Elkton at 5 o'clock from 5 to 7. That's where all of the recovery groups are coming together and celebrating recovery in general, because this First Step Freedom group has been established for 10 years.
Yes,
Hello.
I was there last night. And if I can just say, guys, let's pack that house. They have a wonderful building, or if not multiple buildings together. The area for seating is going to be plenty. So please bring your friends, bring your children, come and listen. There's going to be a couple speakers giving their testimony.
Yeah.
It's very short. It's not like a full length testimony. It's just some questions about recovery and just awareness. But I feel like it's going to be tremendous.
Yeah.
So let's come out, each support each other, all these collective groups. Let's just let's do this.
Yeah,
for God,
let's do it.
right?
Yeah. So we're going to be going live at 4 o'clock
Yes.
On our program with these new little things that we got. I don't even know what they are, but whatever. We're going live.
Good.
And if you need a ride to social services here in Stanley, just hit us up on our Facebook page and we'll make sure you get a ride. So Polar Plunge, we signed up our group this morning. Did you? And you get a free t-shirt. So
what are you waiting for?
Yeah, today's the deadline. And
put a plug in really quickly, because we've been talking about trauma and the brain and the science. So I learned recently that cold therapy, like the plunging,
tell me it washes it away.
Well, I pray it does.
Girl.
But it actually, as you're able to kind of regulate yourself and going into that cold environment, it affects your brain and regulation just like it does with trauma.
Nice.
Really?
So doing that kind of helps you build your resilience to deal with trauma, emotional regulation, things like that, which I thought was
Well, all y'all traumatized people, just come on out there and dip yourself.
You know who you are. You know who you are.
So Polar Plunge, today is the deadline for your free shirt. I put the 30th just to remind me yesterday, but today is the deadline. I just got mine this morning. So get your team in or get yourself in. February 15th is the date of the I can't even believe we're doing that.
Believe it.
10:30 at Lake Arrowhead. Like I've told everyone on the podcast, if you would like to come out and support me in general on this day, because I don't ask a lot out of the community, but I'm very scared of this. And just come out with a warm car, a warm cocoa, a warm blanket.
hand warmers, toe warmers.
Yeah, just anything warm would be greatly appreciated, and maybe a warm check to go towards the Polar Plunge, because this is a prevention program to prevent our children, our grandchildren, and all of our youngins from not only vaping and all of that, but drug prevention as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we take it serious around here. Anything else that I'm missing?
No, I just want to say, go out there today, everybody, and be a blessing to somebody else. Spread that word of encouragement. You never know who needs to hear it, and you are who you are for a reason. So
Yes.
walk with your head high.
Yes, guys. It's going to be a great day. Happy Friday. Alex is gone, so it's probably going to take me a good 10 minutes to figure out how to get off of live. So please
Bear with
disregard anything that you're getting ready to see or hear. But I hope everyone has a great day. Okay.
Like and subscribe.
Right. Like and subscribe. Let's get it.
Took
Let's
me a
share
minute.
it.
Hope
Bye,
you like our
guys.
channel.
Bye. I don't know what button to push and what to do, but here we go.
All right.
All righty.
Jesus, take the wheel.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. End stream. There it is.
All right. Hopefully it saves.
End.